In this section, we're going to go through the setup wizard for the Linksys WRT160N. Insert the CD that came with your router into the computer, and it should run automatically. If you have auto run turned off, navigate to your CD-ROM and run setup, and that's what we're going to do here. Okay, now the software is running. We're going to start setup. Select Start Setup. Okay, choose your language. The default language is English. We're going to keep that and click Next. Now we can read the license agreement, accept the license agreement, and click Next. Now at this point, the software is checking to see how the network is set up. If this is a brand new installation, an existing installation, and it's trying to determine that. So it's going to do a series of tests, and when it's done, it's going to give us the proper installation method based on what's configured. Okay, so this is a brand new installation. We get a 4-step process, and step 1 of 4 is to connect a modem, either a DSL or a cable modem, to the router's internet port. So use a Ethernet cable with an RJ545 connection, connect a yellow port named Internet to your modem. And when you've done that, click Next. Now we're going to connect the computer to the switch ports on the back of the router. We have 4 ports to choose from. It doesn't matter which one you plug it into, just choose one. And this blue cable should have come in your box with your router. And when you've done that, click Next. Step 3 of 4, we're going to connect the power supply to the router. At this point, I would recommend to make sure the power supply is also connected to the modem, and the modem is connected to your service provider. If it's DSL, to the phone line, and if it's cable, to the cable line. And when you've done that, select Next. Now we're going to power up the unit by plugging it in. Now the software is going to try to discover the router and configure it. So it's found the router, it's checking network connectivity, and it's asking you to set a password. Now if the router was already configured and or you have done your network cabling incorrectly, what's going to happen is you're going to get an error 323. So if you get this, that means either you've done your cabling incorrectly or the router is already set up with some other password and you just need to reset the password on it. So just keep that in mind. So here we're going to change the password because all hackers and crackers know that Linksys default password is admin. So we're going to select a different password. And we're going to call it time to be secure. We're going to select Next. Now the SSID is basically your network name, and the router advertises that name 10 times a second up in the air, so your wireless devices such as your laptops, your PDAs and stuff like that can find it. So let's call this Net1 for network 1 and click Next. Now here we're going to set up the security encryption on the wireless side. We have multiple options. The high security is WPA and WPA2. And WPA with a TKIP has some security flaws, but if your hardware doesn't support WPA with AES or WPA2, then you need to use WPA with TKIP. Some even older hardware might not even support WPA, and you might need to use WEP. And WEP has been cracked, but it's better than no security. Now, no security, this is not recommended, and there's a couple of reasons for that. one that people could send spam out of your computer, and your ISP might shut you down because of that. They might do illegal activities through your internet connection, and it could cause problems because they can track it back to your router's IP. So you definitely want to have some kind of security here so not everybody can use it. Now down here, we have the security key that's been automatically generated for us by the software. We can use this, or you can put a passphrase in there that you like, that you can remember. So if you have a lot of friends coming over and you need to configure their router, they're going to use your wireless, you need to use this number all the time to set them up. So you can either use this or put a passphrase you like, something difficult but easy for you to remember. And that's going to this key is going to be used to set up your encryption. So we're going to keep the default here and click next. Now this is an informational screen that's telling you there's a button on here for the Wi-Fi protected setup. So basically you can there's a number on the back of the router, and if you press the Wi-Fi setup and internet and also do that on your laptop and enter that number into your laptop, the Wi-Fi gets set up for you automatically. So click next here. So this screen gives us what we're going to, our basic setup, what's going to be configured on the router. So it's going to set the password, time to be secure. The network name, or the SSID, is going to be net1. And this is the number that gets broadcast 10 times a minute, 10 times a second for wireless devices to find your network. And network security type, we're going to set up as WPA or WPA2, and the security key. Here we have the option of printing or saving a copy of this information in a file on your desktop, and it's going to be named Linksys, and it's going to be on your desktop. Here we can also print and have this in hard copy for future reference. And if this is recommended, and put this in a safe place because you'll forget this information in a couple hours and have problems getting in later. So select next here. So this pop-up tells you, yes, I put the copy of the configuration on your desktop. Okay, thank you. Now it's going to try to configure the router with the information we provided, changing the password, putting the SSID in, putting the web encryption, and the key in. This will take about a minute. Now it's verifying the router configuration and making sure that everything is set up properly. Okay, congratulations. You've set up the Linksys WRT160N using the setup wizard. Click next. Now you can go through and do other stuff if you have connection problems or if you need to do update firmware automatically, but we're not going to cover that here.